welcome to episode 3 of Whole Lot of Wolves. We're your hosts. I'm Joshua Buckley.
And I'm Paul LePage.
It is my pleasure this week to introduce our guest. It's another Paul Smith of Florida Wolves. How's it going today, Paul?
Doing fantastic, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about how your support of Wolves came about.
I was born in the Black Country in Bradeley some time ago. If you know the geography, Bradeley's just on the outskirts of Bilston, about 2.5, 3 miles from Wolverhampton. My family were all from Tipton, so it's quite a divided area between our local rivals. I'll not say their name, and different streets around there. Half the street is them and half the street is us. Basically, I grew up with my brother and my family and stuff supporting Wolves. I did rebel a little when I was a kid. I don't even want to mention it, but I like around 1976, 1977, I did have a little boyhood thing for Manchester United, but that went away pretty quickly. And as I grew up, born and bred in Wolverhampton, so that's why I'm a Wolves fan.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about Florida Wolves. How have they grown over the years?
It's a really large state. Obviously, it's as big as England. My brother moved here, I think, back in '91. I ended up here in 1998. So I've been in the States since then. I wasn't in St. Louis for a while, but basically been backwards and forwards to Florida the whole time. And then we had a pub, an English pub in Miami, a well-known venue called Churchill's. We used to go there and watch games and this and that. There's supporters from obviously all the clubs. And I met a couple of Wolves lads, and then my brother and my girlfriend. So we had a little tight Miami unit going. And once the Wolves USA thing started on Facebook, basically just started a Florida Wolves page and started to invite people. We're up to 112 members at the moment.
Oh, wow.
About half of a little more than half are actually in Florida, and then there are the others are back in England. And the kind of way I did Florida Wolves is because it's a holiday destination, and people fly into Disney World and this and that and the beaches. The website, it's like it's kind of a jumping off area. If people are coming in and they want to see where they can watch a game. And now we have my little Miami pod, but we do have an Orlando Wolves that broke out of Florida Wolves. We have a Tampa Wolves. So there's different local areas of the state that are, but still encompassed within Florida Wolves. We're all friends and we're, it's doing okay. The pandemic's kind of shut things down, obviously for everyone, but we have a Twitter. We have a Twitter handle and we have, a Facebook site. And, yeah.
Parado, así está Venezuela. Las indicaciones de Dudamel, roba Hurtado y a correr. Se va el tanque Hurtado. Hurtado!
Go ahead and start off by talking about Monday's loss. A little disappointing 3-1 loss to Man City, but honestly, after that first half, we're probably fortunate to have only lost 3-1. What'd you guys think about the game overall?
Yeah, the first half was pretty poor. I like the way we were coming forward in the second. I'm really liking the look of Neto and Podence. I don't want to be that guy, but yeah, that left side, man. I guess Marcel how was that Marcel injury? Does anybody have any update on that?
No, nothing yet today from the club or the press. So,
because that was really weird. He was on for 4 minutes and then he's off. And Seats in my issue, Vinagre. He's a fantastic
Captain step over is how.
Yes, he is, and he's a bit too manly. I think he gets knocked off the ball a lot. He gets knocked around. He's just, I think he needs more time to adjust to this tough football that we play in England. I really do. I don't think he should be our main starting left back.
I think to that point as well, if he was in the mould that we're looking for to grow and build on, he would have taken that position as his own by now. He's 21, 22. I think if he'd have kicked on with the potential that we originally saw, he'd be a genuine competitor for Johnny's shirt. And he's far from it at the moment. And personally, I don't want to get on his back, and I don't want to pick out a scapegoat, but I think we're going to need improvement there. If Martial's out for any length of time, I don't think Vinagra's going to cut it as a starter.
He only has one move. I mean, honestly, and that's everybody's expecting it. You saw that with Man City. Okay, I'm going to let him do his 5 step overs and then
body check
dispossess.
Body check him, and he gets knocked
Yeah.
off the ball. Like, I mean, you know, and I'm not a no-sayer, and I love developing the team. I'm so excited for this. I mean, more than I've ever been with any Wolves side. I'm really, it's fantastic. I heard Semedo was spotted in Asda.
For those of you listening that haven't got a clue what Asda is, that's the UK equivalent of Walmart. So, yeah, I don't think Barcelona's starting right back shops in Walmart, but hey, who knows?
Yeah, there's an Asda right next to the Wolves ground, Molineux. Those of you who don't know, and it's just an ongoing joke that if there's any rumours of players being coming in, that they've been spotted in Asda.
Well, you mentioned Neto and Podence. Podence especially looked fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, that nutmeg he had on the assist for the goal was awesome.
I'm in Neto, just not against City, but just the last half a dozen, 8 times I've got my eye on him, and I'm just liking the way he plays.
There's a player in there for sure. I think with Neto, he's got a good all-round game. I liked it when he picks the ball up and runs at people, especially if he's coming from deep. I think if he can add that centre mid position and really hone his craft there, you could have a player again on your hands that's in the multi-million pound mark again. If he's got every string to his bow, he could really come on and develop. And once again, that was a signing to keep George Mendes sweet by all accounts, but I'll take a couple more of those coming in for 10 or 12 million, and then in a couple of years time they're worth 50 or 60, so bring it on. But yeah, kind of he stood out for me, that type of what he was bringing second half. Yeah, Podence, that's another assist and another goal for Raul. Again, they can keep that partnership up, and suddenly you've got your Jota replacement right there. He didn't get 2 assists last season, and Podence has got 2 and 2.
Again, I love Jimenez, but like just that out and out goal scorer instinct. I'm just like Ian Rush, like Bully, like Lineker, top of his game. Just that out and out, just like they've got their back to goal, like they just know where the keeper is, like that. It seems like we're lacking that final, just like
It seemed for his chance yesterday that it was a mirror image of his goal that he scored against them last year, where Traore knocked Mendy off and he squared it back, and he kind of placed it into the bottom corner, and he tried to do that last night, and it just came off a little wrong, and it's fine margins.
I mean, like Jimenez, man, and the positions he gets in. I mean, honestly, he's fantastic. But I'm just that clinical, just that goal hanger, goal thirsty. Somebody's just gonna bang him in, net. That's where I really would like to see that. I think because we haven't scored a hatful against anybody, and so many times you think, oh my gosh, we could have scored 5, 6, like so many games, but we haven't. We've yet to score a hatful. We've yet to really crush someone,
Yeah, I've been thinking that we've not really had a 4 or 5-0 against the team toward the bottom, and
yeah.
Is it going to happen one of these days? And it's just by chance that those 2 or 3 last night that were gilt-edged chances, they go in, and suddenly you find yourself 2 or 3 up quickly, and that goes on to be 4 or 5. So we'll see.
Well, I did see that we did sign Hoover, right?
Yes, yeah, that's a done deal. He was announced, and then Semedo is supposed to be announced on Wednesday. So I think the Adama Traore right wing back experiment will finally be over as of next week. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts against West Ham, but we need to get Adama up front.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a great game. Absolutely, he needs to go. He needs to be up front. He needs to be causing those problems. So I mean, if Semedo just slots right into that right back position, then that's fantastic. We'll have a Adama where we need him. So one question: does Hoover play as a sweeper? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll be curious with him. Everything I've read says that he's going to be a very good investment, especially with how young he is. So this could be another guy, like you were saying, Paul, somebody who we invest the playing time in, and then we can sell for quite a profit here in a few years.
Nuno likes his flexibility, which this kid seems to bring. That I think he can hone his craft in the right centre back berth without being under pressure as an immediate starter. And if he gets game time at right wing back, that's going to help as well. So I think he's a perfect fit to come in and start from the bench and see if he can nail down a place. When we're talking again about transfer speculation, it's one position that I think that would put us in another category. If we're 6th, 7th, 8th, those positions. If we got another centre back that's in the calibre of Bolly, then I think that would make the difference into getting those 2 or 3 places high and really challenging for a Champions League spot. But that's going to cost. So whether it will be this transfer window or an upcoming one, I think it's a need that we're going to have to address.
Yeah, I think they were hoping Saiz was going to be the guy, especially after that first game of the year. And then he kind of reverted back to some of his old habits against Man City. It is going to be interesting. You see a lot of speculation linking us to wingers again, but not anything with center backs, which is surprising.
I think to that point as well, we have to remember that our defensive record has been pretty good. And I think it's only when we get put under the microscope a little bit against a team like Man City. But hey, it's Man City with De Bruyne and Sterling and all the talent they've got. So we were bound to be under pressure. But again, to Sais's mistake, you can't do that with the caliber of opponent like Man City.
Yeah, that diving in stuff. He's headstrong, isn't he? He really is. I love him. I love him in the old sense of an old fullback.
So maybe it was a one-off, and he gets his kind of composure back, and he gets back to the level that he came in to start the season with against Sheffield United. Because it would be great if we didn't need that investment at centre back, and we could put it into a position on another part of the pitch that could do with that caliber of player that we're talking about, a big signing again. I think a centre midfielder, an attacking midfielder, someone who could pick up the ball and run with it and be a presence in the middle of the park. I think that would suit this team down to a T.
And Paul, I know you and I have been joking that as soon as we release the podcast every week, it seems like the very next day there's massive transfer news. Well, we had that again last week when Jota ends up heading to Liverpool the day after we've released the podcast. Were you guys surprised by that move? Because I was not. I kind of anticipated this.
Not really. Not surprised, man. I mean, not surprised. Players come, players go. You can't. You don't get attached to them like your dogs. You can't. It's part of the business. He's not starting every game and this and that. And if he wants to go, let him go.
I think to that point as well, it's tremendous value for a bench player to get in excess of £40 million.
Absolutely.
That again can be reinvested into the team. I love Jota. He's been fantastic. So I wasn't happy that he went, but I was happy with the value that's brought. at the same time that so far it hasn't meant that we've lost Troyer or Jimenez as well, which originally I thought would be the issue, that if we were going to sell, it would be one of those two. But luckily it seems that we've got some funds from Jota, Doherty. There's been 5 million come in from Costa and Cavallero from previous seasons. So we've gone about our business in a good way, and we're pretty close to balancing the books. And hopefully that adds to the kitty that we've still got Semedo coming in, maybe one more, maybe two more. I don't know. It could be exciting still.
There was that other rumor that I saw. Was it another Costa, right?
It's Douglas Costa of Juventus. Yeah. Paul and I were kind of talking about that right before we started recording here. It's interesting. ESPN actually came out with reports of that. So that kind of at least adds a little bit of credibility. I don't know. Thank goodness for Google Translate so I can convert all of these Portuguese and Italian.
Hey, eu falo português, meu menino. Fala comigo. Eu fiz trabalho lá em Brasil para 10 meses, mas eu esqueci meu português porque eu não vai praticar.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Paul. You couldn't have said it any better myself.
I worked in Brazil for 10 months, and I live in Miami, obviously. So, I mean, but I worked in Brazil for 10 months, so I picked up, my Portuguese is pretty good. My ex-sister-in-law was Brazilian. So when I got back, my Portuguese, and actually what I said was, I don't remember much Portuguese now because I don't practice. But if I say something like that, though, they just kick off at me and they start talking to me.
Well, if Mendes is your agent, then chances are Wolves will be interested in you.
Yeah, man. Sí, cara. Vamos, Wolverhampton.
And that is the interesting part about Douglas Costa is Mendes is his agent. He's not featured in Juventus's starting 11 now, and he's 30 years old. I just can't see Fosun spending that much money on him, but if they can get him for a very reasonable amount, I mean, why wouldn't you? You throw him and Traore on the two wings. Holy cow. I mean, who can match that speed?
I just think we're done as far as, or we're not so much done that there's not a major need when it comes to attackers. That you got
agree with
Neto,
that.
Podence, Raul, Silva, Traore. That's five into three. So, well, and Nuno likes his versatility. So if there's funds still to spend and they're looking at players, I'd have probably thought that he would be looking at someone that, if they could play in that wide left position as a replacement, they're of a caliber that they may have another string to their bow to take up other positions as well, maybe in the midfield as well, or as a wing back. So I think it would be that more profile of player that they're going to take a look at if they're still thinking that they've got a spot to fill up in the top three as well.
So saying all that, I know tomorrow when the podcast is released, Wolves will be announcing they're signing Ronaldo.
Yeah.
We'll have Semedo tomorrow, you know.
It's been crazy that we've come from a place of supporting the Wolves to one where that now you've got kids on the internet who are picking up flight trackers to track private jets flying in from Barcelona to the West Midlands that have got these superstar players on them. It blows my mind. I have to pinch myself, and we're thinking along those lines now that you've got these superstars jetting in. So I think we'll see him tomorrow. We'll celebrate this podcast with another arrival, and
all a bit different from Colchester away, mate.
It is. I heard today, I think one on the Athletic podcast, it was when Bully and Tomo joined on the same day and rocked up in a beat up Ford Escort to watch the defeat against Chorley. So yeah, you've gone from beat up Ford Escorts in the down days of the 1980s to superstars on private jets in 2020, rocking up at the Molineux.
Taking somebody from FC Barcelona's starting 11.
Yeah, someone who was irreplaceable, according to their president, when this all started at the start of the transfer window. He was one that wasn't going to be sold, and yeah, he'll be done in the old gold and black pretty shortly.
And I do think he got a little bit of a bad rap after that Champions League game against Bayern Munich when Alphonso Davies just ripped him apart. But that is one bad game, and you're talking about Alphonso Davies, who's one of the premier young talents in the world. I think I think Semedo's gonna be a great fit in the EPL.
As a balance of work, you haven't made all those appearances for Barcelona over 3 years, and the caps that he's got for the Portuguese national team without being worth something. So it's my hope that he comes in and he'll fit into that right wing back rather than a right back. He'll come in as a right wing back, and we'll see him go from strength to strength.
Yeah, Rory, like Doc used to kind of deal. Yeah, a solid right wing back there. Yeah,
I think he's going to be perfect in that spot. And the speed on that right side now is going to be giving nightmares to left backs throughout the EPL.
Well, this whole thing about with Adama going down that right side, and they're constantly putting in two players on him, on one covering. If you got another guy down there, from what Paul was saying earlier, if you get someone excelling on the left side of the pitch, it opens up so much space on that left hand side. It's just so much space. There's huge gaps there, with Adama going down the right. I mean, yeah, a solid attacking left-sided player. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, to pair with Podence over there would be fantastic.
All for it.
If you're at school or building your experience in digital communications and would like to help with everything that goes into putting a whole lot of Wolves together, then get in touch. We're always on the lookout for willing hands when it comes to graphic design, social media and podcast production. Send us an email at hello@wholelotofwolves.com. Again, that's hello@wholelotofwolves.com, and we hope to welcome you onto the team.
All right, Sunday is West Ham versus Wolves, and so we're going to take a closer look at the Hammers by welcoming Mike Younger from Bayou Ironworks. Bayou Ironworks is based here in Houston. Their group is based in the same pub as Houston Wolves. So how's it going, Mike?
Good, thanks, Josh. Yeah, it was ironic when I walked into the bar and saw your sign that you'd taken over half of our pub. But yeah, I got a lot of good friends in Wolverhampton. In fact, my godson is a staunch Wolverhampton fan, and his family are all as well. So yeah, I don't think it was that bad a deal to get Wolves. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been Tottenham.
Yeah. So let's start off with last year. It was the lowest finish you guys have had since you came back into the EPL in 2012. What do you think was the biggest reason for those struggles last year?
That's a good question, Josh. I've thought about this a lot. For me, I think it's just a lack of ambition, really, from the board. And that was proven to me when we rehired Moyes after Pellegrini was fired. I thought when Pellegrini went, we would take the step forward, and instead we took the step back. And of course, there's always that old excuse of us not being in Upton Park anymore, because the Berlin was an amazing ground. But that was a long time ago, and us Hammers fans can't rely on that excuse for much longer. And also, last year, aside from Haller, we never looked to spend the money on players that we had. I don't think we spent big money since Harry Redknapp, which is a shame, but I guess in Harry's day there was a lot better tax breaks, if you know what I mean. But on the plus side, us fans never panicked when we're in the relegation zone, because sadly as West Ham fans, it's something you get used to. I always say there's two ways to stay in the Premier League. The first is to play well consistently, which you guys did last year, but we don't seem to do. Or the one we rely on is to hope that there are 3 other teams that play worse than you do. And last year we were relying on Sheffield United, Norwich, and you guys to do just that. But you let us down. You and Sheffield United play really well. So we were in danger for a bit until 2 other teams, Watford and Bournemouth, took up the challenge and saved us. But joking aside, in my opinion, it's a lack of ambition that led us to the bottom half. And that's not really where a team of our size should be. A team of our income shouldn't be in the bottom half, let alone 16th.
So you mentioned there about that spending and investment in the team. So you got one new addition this transfer window with Thomas Souček, who was actually purchased after a successful loan spell. Has it got anything to do with the ongoing pandemic? Has that been a big reason, kind of as a hold up for you limiting spending this far, or does it come back to the board again?
Yeah, as far as new arrivals, Paul, it's been very sparse, if indeed non-existent. As you said, Souček was the only player we got, but he wasn't a new face. But I think he was a great purchase on the plus side, as he's a great midfielder who tracks back, and he scores goals, which is always good. But yeah, like you say, I think our lack of signings is once again the lack of ambition of Messrs Sullivan and Gold, who for me seem to be looking for their money back rather than making the next level of investment in players. Also, it's quite difficult for us to track players when we're not in Europe, and basically the team's in East London where it's not cheap to live. So, and there's no slot in Europe. So don't get me wrong, I love East London. It's where I grew up, but it's not a cheap place to live, and it doesn't have the best scenery. So it's hardly a magnet, even when you are doing well. But you got to remember, this is coming from a Londoner who lives in Houston now. And you might also say that, well, okay, what about us? The Black Country is not that scenic either. But you recently had European football, and the cost of living in Wolverhampton is so much cheaper. Recently, I only paid £2 a pint when I was there, and that's a 20-ounce pint as well. So it's got to be more of a draw for players to get nicer accommodation and a better standard of life. So yeah, I don't think the pandemic has anything to do with us not getting players. I just think it's the board.
So I know you guys are linked to Tarkowski of Burnley. Do you think you're going to get him? Anybody else you're really hoping for with the window still open?
There's no one I'm aware of that's popping up. I think we do need a central defender like Tarkowski. Ogbonna is not as fast as he used to be, and he does rely on his positional brain and Diop to cover for him a lot. So I think a nab like Tarkowski from Burnley would be great. But I say like Tarkowski because I've just read today from the sources that he's just not on our shopping list because he's just too expensive, which is a shame. I do think we need to buy because I think we're very close, unfortunately, to having to sell Rice. It looks inevitable that one of the big guys like Chelsea are going to swoop in and get him. And we're going to need to backfill that as soon as possible. So I think it's better we spend the money now to buy replacements than wait till he's sold and everyone else puts their prices up. But to answer your question, I don't expect any new signings to try out on Sunday. But I would love to be wrong.
Many dubbed your start to the season as the opening fixtures from hell, and because of those, I think, Mike, that Newcastle game first up at home was one you really could have done with winning. But the following week, did you see any green shoots from an improved performance at Arsenal, even though it was a defeat?
Yeah, Paul, yeah. Of the starting fixtures, when I looked at them, I thought the opener against Newcastle was a game that was a bang on 3 points, especially after the way we finished Project Restart. We were very good at playing lower opposition, and we looked to be a team that was going places. But sadly, when you're a West Ham fan, you never know which team's going to turn up. And on that day, we got the just going through the motions one when we played Newcastle. But Sunday was a different team altogether, a team that worked hard and, in my obviously unbiased opinion, deserved at least a point for their efforts. We didn't go to defend like we tried to do against the so-called better teams. The game against Arsenal, we played more as a team, and I thought that was really good. Antonio was a star, and he is a star. He's such a big player in all senses of the word. And not many people realise he's a joint top scorer in the EPL with Sterling after the restart. That's the most much overlooked stat, but he is a really good reason for hope. And yeah, we've got some tough games to come, but sometimes at West Ham, those tough games lift us, and we get momentum for them that rolls us into the lower teams. So yeah, I've got some hope.
So looking ahead to Sunday, what can we expect West Ham to be lining up in, and who are the danger men to watch out for?
Yeah, we really need to win on Sunday against you guys, and going with just the one man up front, Antonio, I don't think it's going to cut it. So I'd hope that Haller comes to join Antonio. Haller was a great signing for me last year, but he hasn't played enough, and he needs to play in the Premier League to find his feet. He's recently scored 4 goals in the 2 Carabao Cup games, and I think he looked okay when he came on Saturday. I think he's a goal scorer, and I think he'll start on Sunday. I hope he does, and I hope he scores some goals. But he needs that run from Moyes. Yarmolenko is another one. He's a great winger, and I would really have loved to see him play with Grady Diangana on the other wing, but sadly we sold him to the baggies of all people. That
Oh,
must
no.
annoy you guys as well. And he's getting rave reviews, which is bad. And it's not often our captain Noble, he's so loyal, speaks out against the ball, but even he was bemused at that, Sal. So I think Suchek and Antonio are going to be a handful for you on Sunday. And we need to be a handful for you guys because we need to score more than we leak. Because if Torre is playing like he did last season against us, he's just going to run us ragged. And I do like Silva. I think he's an amazing prospect. But I think if we deal with them, I think we can get a result against you Dingles.
So as we look to wrap up this segment, Mike, overall, what are your expectations as the season pans out?
Yeah, we are not the most optimistic of fans at West Ham, but I think if the team can gel a little better, we can start to move up the league. And I also think we need a new, more ambitious manager. I saw today that Moyes is the #1 favourite to get the sack first this season. He's just not the one. He's just not ambitious. And for me, it's strange to think that last year in Project Restart, we beat Chelsea away and we celebrated hard, but that led us to keeping Moyes and Ancelotti going to Everton. Ironically, I think if we'd lost to Chelsea, we'd have Ancelotti now as a manager and he'd be in a lot different position. Another thing that's going to help us is the fans returning. When the fans return to the Olympic Stadium, the atmosphere is much better. We generate enough noise to lift the team. And we're not averse also to giving our players stick for not trying hard enough. And you can see that since the restart with no crowds about, some of the players are not giving their all. Some of the players have the team on their heart, but that's just a badge. We need players with the team in their heart and passion. And with the West Ham fans on their back, then I think they would have played up a bit more, like they did at the Bowling Ground. But now I've started to talk about that again. And if we get onto that subject, chaps, it's going to be a whole new podcast. Sorry, to get back to your question, I think that a finish in the top half is a minimum, but a place in Europe could be there if we organise ourselves a little better in the back room and we spend a little dosh. And I'm hearing now there's ambitious new American owners that want to buy us, so who knows? It might be led by the Americans.
So that's Mike Younger from the Bayo Ironworks here in Houston. Thank you, Mike, for your time. We wish you all the best for the season, apart from the 2 games against the Wolves.
Yeah.
We guarantee you at least 12 points against West Brom and Villa, so no worries there. That leaves you about, 15, 20 more for survival, I think, and you'll be okay.
Thank you very much, Paul. Appreciate it.
We probably won't be as friendly at Nick's place on Sunday.
Maybe we'll buy you a beer for coming on to say thanks.
Yeah,
even when it's not £2 a pint, I'm impressed.
That's right.
Cheers. I look forward to the game, and thanks a lot for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
What are you guys thinking? I mean, it seems like this is a good chance to rebound after the loss on Monday.
I'm thinking these next 4 or 5 games I think we're gonna get some points in the bag. I really do. I think we're gonna get points in the bag against West Ham, Fulham, Leeds. We've got all these guys, Southampton coming up. I mean, really, we should be banking points these next 4 or 5 games.
I think you're right in the fact that these next upcoming games are going to be a better reflection of how our season's going to pan out, rather than comparing us against a decent Man City team from the previous result. Although if we go to the London Stadium and win, and we start putting some back-to-back wins together with these fixtures that are coming up, we could go into the next couple of months in a really strong position.
Yeah, I feel like over the next 5 games, it would be a disappointment if they don't get at least 11 points. I think 12 to 15 is possible. You know, I'll throw in one of those. You never know, a couple draws, but absolutely, the schedule is set up really great for Wolves here early on.
With that setup as well, that if you've got that momentum behind you, people will suddenly start to take note and realise that we're a threat. So that would bode well. That would allow us to play to our strengths a little bit, I think.
I think that's already realised, Paul. There's 20. There are no easy games in this Premier League.
True.
And the other managers, they all know who they're dealing with when they're looking at Wolves. They're looking at, they're looking at Neves. They're looking at Moutinho. They're looking at Traore, Jimenez. They're like, what do we do about this guy? It's a tight league, man. But having said that, you look at those runner games, and these are the games we should be making our bank. We really should.
Pretty much had West Ham's number as well. I think we've got 4 wins since we've been back in the EPL. So they know we went there in lockdown, first game back last season and won. So hopefully that takes a bit of confidence into the game, that they know that they can show up and win. I think they're can be a very fragile team as well. So if we get out the blocks quick, like we did against Sheffield United, it could be one that a couple of goals early, and we can get a similar result.
I'm sorry, I just invited one of my friends down here. He's a Hammers fan. I invited him over Sunday for the game. I said I'll cook some Sunday dinner and stuff. So, it's the way we are, right?
Yeah, our pub that we go to is actually shared by West Ham, so we have a nice little rivalry with them.
My local one right here is actually Spurs. This is the Broward County Spurs, Fort Lauderdale Spurs pub, the one that I share here in Hollywood, Florida.
So what kind of predictions? Let's hear for the scores.
3-0 Wolves.
That's funny. That's exactly what I was going to say too. 3-0.
I'm going to go 2-0 Wolves.
Yeah, I expect a good showing after the disappointing first half against Man City. I think they're going to play a lot more like the second half and really make an effort to score early and often.
Are you a new fan of Wolves, having only recently discovered the team, and have a question, but maybe you're worried it's too simplistic? Have no fear. Use our No Stupid Questions segment to ask away. Submit your questions on our Facebook page, facebook.com/whole lot of wolves, on Twitter at WLWpod, and even if you'd like to remain anonymous, you can ask on our website, www.wholelotofwolves.com.
Finally, in this week's supporter group focus, it's over to you, Paul. Tell us about Florida Wolves, where you guys meet up, and how to get in touch with you.
All right, so to get in touch with Florida Wolves, there's a Facebook group, Florida Wolves. Find us there. We have a Twitter handle. Shout out to Sharif Slimting, who runs the Twitter account. It's Florida Wolves at Florida_Wolves. So you can chase him down on that. Email, you can email me at paulwanderers@yahoo.com. I bet you wish you'd have thought of that one first, Paul. So there's the 3 ways you can get in touch with Florida Wolves. Down here on the east coast of Florida, there's 3 pubs. Anybody going to South Beach, we recommend the Playwright down there on South Beach. We had a fan fest down here where a bunch of guys showed up, and that's here close to my house. If we're not at my house, we use Mickey Burns Pub, downtown Hollywood, and then there's the Blue Anchor up in Delray. Also, there's an Orlando Wolves and there's a Tampa Wolves, which are all affiliated together. Shout out to those guys. So, anybody out there listening to this and you're on your way to Florida, feel free to get in touch with us, and right now, meetups are not really that's not really what's going on right now where I live. But I'm sure we will, once this thing is under control, we'll all be back out at the pub again.
Great to hear that the pack is forming across Florida.
So one of the things that Florida, if anybody has fantasy teams, Florida Wolves is actually top of the league right now. So if you top of the Wolves USA League and this and that and the other, like we're number 1 Florida Wolves right now. I am.
Humble brag there, huh?
No, mate. Do you play the fantasy? Anybody?
We do not.
No. Oh wow, I love the fantasy football. It keeps people in. It does keep me in touch with like who is performing on other sides, and who's scoring the points, who's getting the assists. I just find it a way, not just because it's fun to play it, but just a way of keeping track of what's going on. What's going on at Leeds, what's going on at Fulham. How's that Crystal Palace defender doing over there? And I like it for that. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a good scouting mechanism, but for me, I find it too all-encompassing previously, and you're deliberating about playing your wild card, and yeah, I've just got to concentrate 100% on the Wolves. I don't want any outside distractions when it comes to having to even think about putting a West Brom player anywhere near my team. Good God, no way. No way.
You bleed old gold, do you, kid?
I do, yeah. Those people aren't they're getting anywhere near me or the Villa either. So,
so you wouldn't have Grealish on your fantasy team?
No way, no way. Man, I'm really negative tonight.
Paul, we shouldn't be negative. We got a great right wing back.
That's right. Yeah, we got the superstar jetting in, so all is good.
And we're getting Cristiano Ronaldo tomorrow. I mean, that's just the way it goes with this podcast.
I can just see the betting pricing have just escalated on Ronaldo's odds about joining the Wolves. It's just gone from 50 to 1 to even money. So if we call it, it's happening. Put your money on Cristiano coming to the Molineux.
I think that may be my new prediction every week.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, let's bring on the close of the window if that's the case. October can't come soon enough. So we'll wrap it up, Paul. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. We hope to make this a regular occurrence through the season, and we get people like yourselves across the country on the show talking about their support, talking about their groups across North America. So thanks once again. We look forward to welcoming you in the future.
Oh, but fantastic. Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been an absolute pleasure being here. I will come back anytime. Shout out to the Florida Wolves, to our kid, and Jenny and Slinting. And fantastic. Love being here.
And we've got a special treat to play you out of this episode, thanks to our friends back in the UK, the Wolfpack Howlers. Do check them out across social media on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Here's their ode to our number 9.
There's something